Man suspected in the deadly attack on a German Christmas market was shot dead by police this morning in Milan. Italian authorities say that an officer stopped Anis Amri and asked him to show his identity papers. At that time, the 24-year-old Tunisian man reportedly reached into his backpack and pulled out a gun and shot the officer. Police returned fire, killing Amri. The injured officer was hit in the shoulder and is expected to survive. Investigators believe that Amri is the man who crashed a truck into a crowded Christmas market in Berlin, killing 12 people, injuring dozens of others. German prosecutors say Amri's fingerprints were found inside the vehicle. Joining us right now is former Navy SEAL Carl Higbie. Carl, good to see you. Thanks so much for joining the conversation.
Thanks for having me this morning.
What do you make of these developments?
So, I mean, look, we have to get away from the idea that this is lone wolf attacks. This is an army. These are soldiers all deployed individually rather than as a unit all over the world, conducting all sorts of things, prosecuting Christians, prosecuting our way of life. We have to stand up and do something about this.
It's very concerning that he was able to get from Berlin to Milan in a very short period of time. And I know that there are open borders throughout the Eurozone, right, but this is such a stark sort of underlying issue that, and we see it, that he's gone from country to country already.
Yeah, and he was already a person of interest. I believe he was on the no-fly list. He had a number of other people scrutinizing him. I mean, they know who these people are, generally. But the problem is this PC nature of the European Union, of America, is not allowing us to persecute these targets.
It's pretty incredible.
Well, and eerily reminiscent of the Tsarnaev brothers, who's like them. You had them on no-fly lists, etc. Carl, let's go to the fact that Germany seems to be really shocked by this. I think they're finally waking up, and most of Europe is waking up to the realization of their failed open border policy. But that doesn't really fix a lot of the reality, that you have a lot of these types of migrants from Tunisia, from the Middle East and other countries that proliferate terror all over Europe. And now we hear here in the United States and other places that ISIS is inspiring some sort of attacks on Christian churches. They did it recently in the Coptic churches in Egypt. How do we really prevent anything in the short term?
The problem is you have leaders all over the world who are they're so afraid to categorize this as an Islamic problem. It is an Islamic problem. Not all of Islam, but it is an Islamic problem. And you have so many people who aren't looking at this from the other way. So if you imagine if this was Christians targeting mosques, can you imagine the uproar that we'd have in America? Oh, Christians are crazy. This is something we really need to look at as an Islamic problem.
So, Carl, one of the main problems is that you see in Iraq, since we left so quickly over the past 8 years, ISIS was allowed to grow and fester and has taken over cities. They have oil revenues. They have access to a lot of money. And so you have a breeding ground in Iraq, even though the Iraqi army has made some gains with their help. But you have a breeding ground in Iraq and Syria for them to fester and launch attacks around the world. So what does an incoming administration do about that? What do they do about Iraq and Syria?
Well, Iraq and Syria are two very different animals. In Syria, you have, ISIS, the Kurds, rebels, Iran, Turkey, Russia, America. I mean, you have so many moving parts that you can't look at anyone in a vacuum. First and foremost, Russia and America need to get on the same page. We need to start hitting the same targets. And I think Russia's starting to see that ISIS is really the problem. We have to either leave Assad there or take him out. If we take him out, we have to be there for 5 decades, maybe.
But maybe just push back a little, because the Russians and the Turks and the Iranians all met on Tuesday without us and said that they're going to forge a new peace process forward, and they're not involving the United States. So how, are we even part of the game anymore?
And it doesn't help that the Russians are backing Syria and Assad.
Absolutely.
Right. Well, I don't think they want to include Obama. I think when Trump gets into office, it's going to be a totally different story. There's a totally different dynamic there. So I think they're just kicking Obama out of the circle, be like, you're no longer in this.
Wow.
Yeah, I think there's a huge snub nose at Obama.
Just getting back to the news from this morning. It seems like the Germans missed a lot here. We've talked a lot about how they're not refusing to call it as terrorism, things like that. But operationally, Carl, where did they go wrong here? It really feels like this guy slipped through even though they knew he was there.
Well, this goes back to the bag of Skittles analogy that Trump Jr. got in trouble for. It's like if you have 1,000 Skittles and you know one is poison, do you take a handful home to your family? Absolutely not. Stop the immigration from places that you know these are problems. I mean, a lot of these guys, too, are homegrown. Like in Australia, you had 4 out of the 5 that are in custody now were homegrown. But stop the immigration from places that you know are problems. Keep your people safe for now until you can find out what's going on.
Very difficult after Angela Merkel let in 1 million refugees.
1.1, I think.
1.1 million refugees. Now, let me switch gears to the Australian situation. Australian police foiled a Christmas Day attack in Melbourne. The plotters allegedly planned to attack 3 different locations: Flinders Street Station, Federation Square, and St. Paul's Cathedral. This plan was thwarted, Carl, but what concerns you about this attack?
Well, what concerns me is this plan was thwarted, and there were 7 initially taken, and I think 4 were homegrown. 1 was an immigrant from Egypt or something like that. But how many more? I mean, if you're picking up 7 guys before Christmas, how many more do we not know about? And I think we need to be on our toes. And this is the populace has to be vigilant worldwide. Police aren't going to be able to stop everything, so you need to keep your eyes out.
Are we going to be able to thwart anything in the U.S. as we approach this weekend?
I sure hope so. I mean, we have some of the greatest police officers, best trained police officers in the world, so I hope so.
You made the most important point, I think, initially when you said there's really no such thing as a lone wolf. All of these are part of a larger inspiration from a central radical Islamic movement that want to proliferate terror. Do you think that the Trump administration understands this much better than the Obama administration did? Because they certainly have messed up the last 8 years of this global war on terror.
Wholeheartedly. And I'm going to make a bold prediction here. I believe that Obama is actually trying to thwart or trying to disable a Trump presidency by, he just removed this, the ban would allow Islamic immigration registration to America. I mean, it's been in place, and then 2011 he stopped using it. But I think that he's actually trying to undermine Trump's presidency.
Well, he's letting out more from Guantanamo Bay. He says he wants to leave.
I mean, whose side are you on, Obama? Right. I mean, seriously.
Well, let me ask this. How easy is it for the Trump administration to put those measures back into place, what Obama just took away in terms of the immigration list?
Regardless of the administration, it's still government, so it's going to take some time. If Obama were to leave this in, they could just keep rolling with it. But now they have to re-stand up the policy. They have to reinstitute laws. They have to, I mean, the integration makes it more difficult. So that's why I ask, like, is Obama actively trying to expose Americans to danger?
What about this list that ISIS is coming out with? ISIS issuing a hit list urging followers to attack U.S. churches. The Islamic State reportedly publishing names and addresses of thousands of prospective targets. What do you make of this ISIS list? Is this an attack on Christians specifically, or just more of the same from ISIS? How should we see this?
I think they're going one step further. Instead of just targeting the West in general, they are targeting Christians. And look, if you flipped it around, it would be national outcry. Yet, for some reason, the liberal left wants to include them. Oh, let's bring them in.
But this isn't new either. I mean, ISIS has been doing this for a long time. They have very sophisticated online publications. The attack we saw in Germany was laid out in one of their online magazines, step by step, how to do it.
Right. Get behind the wheel of a truck, ram it into big crowds.
But they've been destroying churches and artifacts in that region, but this is the first time that we've really found out that they're actually targeting churches outside their little area.
Yeah. All right, Carl, we'll be watching. Thanks so much for your insights.
Thanks, guys.
Carl Higbie there. Coming up.